Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this, guys. Today, we're bringing some serious, enthusiastic, tough love energy because we are going to tear down a massive illusion. We are completely deconstructing the idea that people-pleasing is just being nice or helpful. I mean, if you're someone who constantly bends over backward for everyone else, you probably think you're just acting out of pure generosity. But as we pull from some really incredible insights from psychological and medical experts today, you're going to see that this behavior is far more complicated and honestly far more destructive than just a simple desire to be kind.
I want to kick things off by asking you a really simple question. Are you saying yes when your body is literally screaming no? Just think about it for a second. Do you constantly put your family, your friends, or your boss first, entirely at the expense of your own mental and physical health? Do you accept invitations you absolutely dread, take on extra work when you're already completely exhausted, or, silence your own opinions just to keep the peace? Well, if that resonates with you, you're definitely not alone, but we have to face the fact that you are also actively hurting yourself.
We absolutely need to reframe what this behavior actually is. The standard dictionary definition calls it an emotional need to please others. It sounds so harmless, right? Almost sweet. But relationship therapist Dr. Cecilia Baldwin, she redefines people-pleasing not as a generous personality trait, but as a pattern of self-abandonment. It is the literal act of leaving yourself, your needs, and your identity completely behind just to secure approval from someone else. And wow, if that wasn't a big enough paradigm shift, we really need to talk about a hard truth from the crappy childhood fairy. Here it is. People-pleasing isn't kindness, it's actually a form of manipulation and control. I know, that sounds super harsh, but think about the actual mechanics of it. When you morph your personality, hide your true feelings, and force a laugh at jokes you don't even find funny just to make someone like you, you're not being authentic. You are manipulating the situation to control how that person perceives you. You're trying to guarantee their acceptance by presenting a totally fake version of yourself.
Section 1. Roots in Childhood Survival.
So where does this come from? If it's so harmful and inauthentic, why on earth do we do it? Well, this isn't a random weakness or some character flaw you were born with. It is deeply ingrained trauma. Let's walk through exactly how this happens. Step 1. A child is in an environment that's chaotic, emotionally absent, or overly demanding. To survive, they start scanning their environment for safety, reading their room, checking facial expressions. Step 2. They adjust their behavior to keep the peace. If dad is angry, they make themselves invisible. If mom is overwhelmed, they instantly become the easy child who never has any needs. Step 3. They begin associating acceptance strictly with their performance. Love isn't given freely. It's earned by being totally compliant. And finally, Step 4. This crystallizes into adult self-abandonment. You grow up, but your nervous system, it's still stuck in that childhood hypervigilance, constantly scanning the room to figure out exactly who you need to be just to stay safe.
Dr. Baldwin brilliantly sums this whole thing up with a quote. You lose yourself slowly, one yes at a time. It is just so insidious. No one wakes up one day and decides to completely erase their identity. It happens in these tiny micro moments. It happens when you cheerfully agree to go to a restaurant you absolutely hate, when you pretend to love terrible appetizers just to avoid being difficult, when you take on that extra project, when you swallow your anger. With every single forced, automatic yes, a tiny piece of your authentic identity is chipped away, until one day you look in the mirror and don't even know what you actually like or want anymore.
Section 2. The hidden toll on your body.
Medical doctor Neha Sangwan uses this incredibly vivid contrast for this. First, I want you to imagine driftwood in the ocean. This is the classic people pleaser. You are completely at the mercy of the waves, going wherever the wind and the demands of everybody else blow you. It is a state of overwhelming, constant anxiety. Now contrast that with a sailboat with a rudder. A sailboat is still out there in the ocean, it still feels the wind and interacts with others. But because it has a rudder, a firm anchor in its own internal needs and boundaries, it actually charts its own course.
So, why do we choose to be the driftwood? The root cause is honestly our sheer inability to tolerate unease, discomfort, and disappointment in our own physical bodies. When someone asks you to do something you really don't want to do, your body reacts, your stomach drops, your chest gets tight. And to make that uncomfortable physical sensation go away as fast as possible, you just blurt out yes. You are essentially trading a short-term high, avoiding that immediate conflict, for a long-term yuck.
And let me tell you, that long-term yuck is incredibly dangerous. Consider this absolutely staggering statistic from Dr. Sangwan. 80%. She found in her medical practice that stress, which is so often caused by this exact inability to set boundaries and speak your truth, causes or exacerbates 80% of all physical illnesses. Headaches, back pain, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, the whole shebang. Your inability to communicate with yourself and others is literally making you physically ill.
And the loudest alarm bell your body is going to give you before you get sick? It's resentment. It's often said that resentment is like drinking poison hoping the other person dies. If you find yourself seething with anger while just doing the dishes, or furious that no one is thanking you for the extra work you volunteered for, well, that resentment is the ultimate warning sign. It means you've completely overextended yourself, your boundaries have been trampled, and honestly, you probably never even communicated what those boundaries were in the first place.
Section 3. The illusion of connection.
We do all of this exhausting, backbreaking work because, let's face it, we are terrified of losing the people around us. But the harsh reality is that people-pleasing destroys the very relationships you're trying so hard to save. The crappy childhood fairy refers to this toxic habit as crap-fitting. Crap-fitting is when you ignore all your own common sense and feelings just to avoid angering someone. You're fitting yourself into a crappy situation just to survive it. Actually, it's more like being an emotional hostage. True connection, on the other hand, requires authenticity, being considerate, for sure, but remaining fundamentally true to yourself. If you are constantly hiding who you are, nobody actually knows you. They just know your compliance, and you really cannot be truly loved if you are not truly known.
When the burnout hits and the resentment boils over, it's so easy to just blame yourself or play the victim. But instead, we can use Dr. Sangwan's incredibly logical me, we, world framework to dissect your stress. If you're overwhelmed, break it down. Me, what is my internal role here? Am I jumping in to fix things automatically just because of my own anxiety? We, what are the interpersonal dynamics? Have I actually communicated my limits to this person clearly? World, what are the environmental factors? Is my workplace just severely understaffed, making it literally impossible to succeed regardless of what I do? This framework helps you logically dissect the actual source of the conflict so you can, actually solve it.
Section 4. How to break the cycle.
All right, so how do we fix this? It starts with what Dr. Baldwin calls noticing the gap. When someone asks you for a favor, there is this tiny microsecond gap between what is being asked of you and how you automatically respond. Your job is to stretch that gap out. Pause. I want you to actually embrace the physical discomfort of that silence. Breathe and ask yourself, do I actually want to do this, or am I about to agree automatically just to keep the peace? That one simple pause disrupts the entire trauma response.
To help you navigate that gap, here are some really practical, everyday tactics from the team at Psych2Go. First, validate yourself. Seriously, stop outsourcing your self-worth to other people's opinions. Second, practice saying no, or at the very least offering a compromise that actually works for you. Third, and honestly this is a total lifesaver, put this phrase right in your back pocket. Let me get back to you. It buys you the time you need to check in with your actual desires. And finally, stop apologizing for things completely out of your control. Stop saying sorry just for taking up space in the world. These are your immediate stepping stones out of the trap. And for deeper, lasting change, try Dr. Sangwan's awareness prescription. This is an actual medical framework used with patients whose stress has literally made them physically ill. Ask yourself these 4 questions. Number 1, why this? Why is my body breaking down in this specific way right now? Number 2, why now? What message am I missing today? Number 3, what clues make sense now? Looking back, what warning signs did I completely ignore? And number 4, what else in my life needs healing? Use these questions to decode your body's vital signals. And that brings us to the 5th and final question of that prescription, which is exactly what I am leaving you with today. If you spoke from the heart, what would you say? Just imagine it. If you dropped the people-pleasing, if you finally stopped managing everyone else's emotions, if you firmly anchored yourself to your own truth, what would you actually say? Let that profound prompt inspire you to finally reclaim your voice, chart your own course, and stop abandoning yourself. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, guys, and I challenge you to start building that rudder today. See you next time.